So my name's Emily and I'm currently 20 years old and I live in Champaign, Illinois. My family consists of, it's me, my mom, and my sister. So my sister is 2 years younger than me and she was also adopted. My mom adopted me when I was around 13 months, and then 2 years later she adopted my sister, who was about a little under a year when she was adopted. A little bit more about the adoption process. So like the adoption agency sets up like a group of those who want to adopt, like families who want to adopt. And then you have to go through like there's some paperwork and like interview process and like documentation that you have to do. So that took my mom about 2 years to get through all of that. And then they have people come over to the province, so that was Jiangxi province, and then the adoption center was specifically in Yitan City. And there they have all the families meet up, and then they spend about 1 or 2 weeks there just getting to know the city, and also they pair up the families with the babies. So then the babies get to spend some time with the families, also in China for a little bit while longer, and then all the families can take their new child back to America. I think I would identify as Chinese American. Though a little bit probably more towards the American side because I was really young. I was only like just like barely a year when I was adopted. So I grew up more with like the American culture rather than the Chinese culture. But the adoption agency has like the parents sign kind of to say like, yeah, I want to keep up with the Chinese heritage and like make sure that that's a part of my baby's life. And it's really cool because they'd have like groups of people go to adopt all at once. So like there's a lot of people in the Champaign-Urbana area as well as like surrounding areas who adopted as well. So they would like get together once a month, and my mom said it was about like 50 families, and so like they get together at like a random place and just kind of like it'd be like kind of like a social gathering of all the families who did adopt, and then like all of the children we can just like I don't know just hang out, and it's just kind of like just to remember and like I don't know, just be and talk with people who are in like who have like the same background as you do. One of my best friends, Lily, she was actually adopted the same time I was. So my mom and her mom went to adopt at the same time, and then when in China they realized they're like, oh, where do you live? And they're like Champaign, and then apparently they live like right down the street from each other, like a block away. So when like coming back to America, me and Lily grew up a lot together, and we just kind of like our families would just like go and have meals together, and then Lily's mom also adopted another girl too, so it's like me and my sister and then Lily and Katie, so that was really cool to have people so close that have the same background that I do. Also, my mom would just incorporate, like, we would always go to, like, Chinese New Year celebrations. And then we just, like, try to do, like, culture stuff, like, different places to try to remember, like, what my Chinese background and, like, the cultural side there that I don't get as much here. So I think one thing that I regret when I was younger is I don't think I really understood or valued the importance of kind of embracing my Chinese heritage so much. Like I love going to all of the events that we did with all the other adopted families and just going to Chinese New Year celebrations, and we'd always like eat a bunch of like Chinese food and cook Chinese food. But I think especially not knowing Chinese, I think I kind of regret. Looking back, I kind of wish that I would have really dove into it more and really wanted to study it to learn it and not just study it just to hang out with my friends. Because I think now one thing that's a little hard being in college where people are like, they're more culture aware so they can ask like better questions than just like, who's your grandma or dad, or like, why are you adopted? Like kind of like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I get more questions that make me kind of like really think about what it means to be Chinese American. Because people sometimes, I get a lot of questions like, oh, do you speak Chinese? And it's like, oh, no, I don't. Or kind of like, do you have like an Asian mom, like the like stereotypical like tiger mom? I'm like, no, my mom's not usually like that. And just kind of questions where I'm like, I'm saying no to a lot of things that a lot of people culturally tie in with being Chinese. So I'm kind of thinking like, oh, like, yes, I am Chinese, but a lot of the things that you're asking me, I say no to. But I think a lot of that has been good for me to think about, because then I can really think of like, oh, what does it mean to actually be Chinese American? Yeah, a lot of the questions I did get were pretty like stereotypical questions, which are a little hard because feel like people wouldn't see that like you can't really type a culture by like just one like certain attributes um, that came out in those stereotypical questions, and like each person is like unique in their own background. So I think for me, being Chinese American, I really embraced that through I would like hang out with my friends who were Chinese American. So like my friend Lily and Katie, we would always hang out with me and my sister. And it was really cool just spending time with people who also had the same background as you, because then you could share like any experiences you had, or just like talk about like what it means to be Chinese American. Also, like me and my sister love to like cook dumplings, so like we'd love to eat that, and like udon and ramen. So I think that that's been really fun to. I really like that aspect. For any like families who are thinking of adopting, I would say one thing to like look out for is that you will probably experience some like discrimination, or like kind of like naive questions that would come from it. I know I was talking to my mom, and my mom said one time, I think we were just in a store, and a person walked up and like right in front of me. I don't remember this at all because I was little, but she walked up to my mom and just like asked like, oh, how much did it cost to like adopt a baby? And it's just like those kind of questions are just like a little out of line, and like come out of a place of like, whoa, that's really cool that she's adopted. It just comes out of like a very like naive. And then also my mom said that sometimes my mom would just like get stares. Sometimes like people just like not really understand, because my mom is like a single mom too, so it's just like my mom and then me, and it's like just some of those things are a little hard, but I think it's good if you know that it's going to happen, just kind of how to handle it, and how to handle it like out of a place of love and forgiveness to them. And then just like it's kind of good to know ahead of time that that'll happen. I think also one thing that my mom did that I would think that anyone who's thinking of adopting should also do is just like keep up with like the cultural background and the heritage of where the child is from. I think it's really cool to still like embrace that here in America, because like yeah, you can like Chinese is part of my background, and it's cool to bring that like cultural experiences here as well. I think if I would give a tip to my mom from like if I could go back in the future, would kind of be to push it more, I think. Because like yeah, when me and my sister were younger, we didn't really understand the meaning or like the significance and the value behind it. And I think right now I wish I would have like kept up with Chinese lessons and really wanted to learn the language. Like we would go to the Chinese New Year celebrations, but we wouldn't ever really participate in any of the things that they're doing. So I just kind of wish my mom would have been a little like, do it. But I kind of understand how she wanted us to like do what we felt comfortable with, and like at that time. But I think it's really important to keep up with that. Definitely being open to adopting a child. I don't really have any preference on like where. I think it would be cool to adopt from China, because I don't know, I'm also adopted from China, but I'm like open to like any other country or other place of adoption. I think with that, if I did adopt, I think it'd be good. I'd be able to help my child a lot with kind of like any of the struggles that they might be going through, because I can be like, oh, I had that similar situation, and I think like the background I had would be able to help my future child.